Welcome to the Groundwork Group training session on operating a guardrail pounder and installing posts and rails. The session is made up into two sections. Section 1, How to care for and operate your new pounder. Section 2, How to install guardrails with your machine. My name is Stephen Beebe. I am the CEO of Groundwork Group. For 35 years I have traveled the world training contractors in the best way to install guardrail using these machines. What I am about to present has been proven to work, but like all things in this world, there are always other methods. So what are you going to learn today? Section 1. We are going to learn about the pounder. And of course, how to operate your new pounder. Section 2. Learn how to install guardrail using the machine and barrier install attachment. Finally, we will take a look at the Guardrail GPS system. Introduction. Your new pounder has been manufactured from quality material and assembled under rigid quality assurance system. All owners and operators need to read the manuals carefully as there is valuable information within the manuals. Don't forget to read and understand how to maintain the engine as well, as it is important to gain the longest possible life from your pounder. Of course, if in doubt, always ask the supervisor. Safety instructions. Always comply with the local laws and regulations, and company policies. Check out the warning labels on the machine. Each important moving part has a safety warning sticker. Again, the manual is full of safety instructions and best practices for you to follow. So take the time to read the manual. So please read it. The next few diagrams will show you the stickers that are on the pounder. Each sticker is self-explanatory. The ones you should take note of are the fuel tank, hydraulic oil, and the lifting points. On the left-hand side, you will see the engine oil filter, radiator level, and radiator pressure. All these are indicators on the operator's control panel. Also the emergency stop button. This is important for your safety. This button is hard to miss, as it is located alongside the operator's controls. Some further important stickers on the machine. When the hammer is working, the noise level is 110 decibels, the noise of the machine is 71 decibel. Therefore you should wear first-grade earmuffs, along with a hard hat, and safety equipment when operating the pounder. Remember, there are parts of the machine that will be very hot. These are protected, but please keep your hands free of that area. The rest of the stickers are all self-explanatory. So take the time to read them. So let us take a look at your pounder orientation. As you see in the diagram, there is a front and a rear, left and right. In normal operations, it is best to move the machine to the right when driving posts or piles. This means the operator will be walking forward and moving it to the right and can see where he is going. This is much more comfortable, and of course, it's safer. So what drives this pounder? Well, there is a 4-cylinder diesel motor under the hood. You can find all the information on the motor in the operator's manual, so take a look. If you look inside your manual, you will find this diagram identifying all the key parts of your pounder. Just take time to familiarize yourself with these items. Let's take a look at how we operate this pounder. Your pounder is not a spaceship. It is very simple, so it won't take long for an operator to learn the functionality. Normally takes around about 10 hours for the operator to become proficient, so please don't worry. Sometimes, it's helpful to work out which are the main controls that you're using, and place different color electrical tape around the handle to identify the ones you need. Let's take a quick look at some major parts on our pounder. The first item marked is the hydraulic hammer at the front of the machine. This is used to drive in the posts. Next is the operator console. Here you will find 9 or 10 control valves. These operate all the movements. And of course, the operator display panel. Here you will find RPM meter, fuel gauge, temperature gauge, ignition switch, infuses. Next, we will look at what these controls do. The first control, this lever operates the hydraulic drive motor for a rock drill. Note, this valve works both left and right rotations. The second control is for the mainmast, it slides the mast in and out. The third control, this is the movement of the boom tilt. The tilt function will be used each time the machine is moved from post to level the mast. Some cases, you may not need to move it at all. The last function is the boom control. This lever operates the boom tilt left and right to place it vertically. This is done manually, but if your machine is fitted with an auto-leveling system, it will do it automatically when activated. Starting from the top. The boom slide. This is a nice function. It travels of approximately 10 inches left and right. It is used for fine-tuning the positioning of the hammer over the pile mark. If you're operating GPS, the semi-automatic system will do this function for you by pushing the button on your machine. The computer will automatically find the correct location. I will explain this in further detail in the GPS section later in this presentation. The second function is the boom slide. This will allow you to slide the mast and hammer in and out by 800 mm approximately. The third function is the hammer. This allows the raising and lowering of the hammer. 4. Finally, the last function is the hammer. This control only operates in one direction, it's either on or off. The hydraulic valves are proportional valve, which will allow you to regulate the speed of the hammer by the travel distance of lever. For example, if you pull the lever by a small fraction you can get 1 to 2 blows. If you pull the lever fully open, you will get up to 1000 blows per minute. This allows you to drive the post to the correct height. Let's take a look at how to operate the tracks. I would recommend that you put your 2 controls in the palm of your hand, place your fingers around the wraparound front bar, which is adjacent to the handles. This will give you a smooth movement of the machine. If you just put your hand on the levers, you will find the machine will jerk in a stop-go fashion. The reason for this is that you're trying to walk and drive the machine at the same time at different speeds. The hydraulic valves are proportional valves, therefore you can regulate this speed of the machine by the distance that you open the valve up. The pounder will travel at about 2.5 km per hour. Always ensure your travel path is clear of people and overhead cables and wires. Now comes the do's and don'ts. The rubber tracks need to be checked. The tracks should not be any looser than 20 to 25 mm between the center roller, see the picture. The second picture shows that the tracks need to be fully placed on the ground. Point loading or straddling of holes is not recommended, as it will damage the rubber tracks. The third picture, do not try this, you need place timbers at this point to smooth the climb. Timber will break the loading points. Working the machine this way will damage the tracks, or the machine could tip over. Please note, always keep the track clear of stones and rocks. More do's and don'ts. In the first image, the pounder should not be used like this. Both tracks have to be firmly on the ground. This is important, as when the mast and hammer are fully extended, there is a possibility of rollover if the ground is soft. The second image shows that you should never use the hammer to lift the machine off the ground. Transferring weight from the machine to the hammer will not improve pile driving performance. Caution. When you are moving your pounder around on site, the hammer must be as close to the ground as possible. If your hammer is in this position, the machine could become unstable on the unleveled ground. Let's take a look at the pile head assembly. At the top of the assembly is the hydraulic hammer. This is cradled between the two plates by 4 large diameter bolts. These bolts should be periodically checked for tightness. Check the maintenance checklist for more information. Moving down to the pile head. The pile head is made of specially hardened steel. The head will take the punishment of the hammer if you look after it. The pile head is not profiled, therefore you will be able to drive any type of post. Next is the pile template. This fits underneath the pile head and is held in place by 2 3/4 bolts. The template needs to be profiled to match the type of post you are driving. This plate is interchangeable so you can drive any other type of post in the future. Finally, the pile guide is also known as the foot. This is attached to the bottom of the mast. It's also profiled to take your post. This plate can be rotated to allow you to drive the pounder in either direction. Forward direction is recommended. Now you can see the total assembly of the pile head is complete. Let's take a look at servicing the hammer. Located at the rear of the hammer, there is a grease nipple. The operator needs to apply a standard grease to this point every 4 hours of work. This is very important. This grease is used to lubricate the piston inside the hammer. The piston cycles about 1,000 times per minute, so the grease is important. Do not forget to do this. Normally I would pump in about 8 squirts of grease into the hammer. As you are pumping the new grease in, you may find some black glue-like liquid coming out of the hammer. This is normal. Do not be concerned by this liquid. The hammer is designed to allow the grease to drop down the piston as it works. It's lubricating other parts. From time to time, you may want to steam clean this area. This should be carried out when the machine goes back to the workshop. This type of maintenance should not be carried out in the field. The post extractor is made up of 3 components. Item 1 is the mainframe, which is held in place by the 2 location pins at the top of the bracket. Item 2, the arm which pivots. This is held in place by the bottom pin. The arm, this has a hook on one end. This fits up inside the rear plate, and hits against the pile hammer head. Item 3, the clamp. This fits on the pivot arm, and over the top of the post. To operate the post extractor, place the clamp on the post, lift the hammer up and keep the clamp as under pressure. The clamp is activated, and the post is ready to be removed. Always apply upward pressure to the clamp until the post is free. In some cases, you can use your machine to lift the post and rail for height adjustments on existing rails. I'm going to take a break for a minute, so you can watch this short video on the post extractor working. Watch carefully. You have to agree, it's very simple but effective. How do you drive a guardrail post? 1. First, you lift the hammer up by 6 inches higher than the length of the post. 2. The operator will pick up the post, and put one end into the pile foot. This is located at the bottom of the mast. You lower the hammer over the post, until the pile head rises up. This rise should be about 50 mm. 3. Align the post up with the bolt hole on the rail. This can be done in a number of ways. Either lay the rail out on the ground, or, if our machine has a GPS solution, then the location will be done in an automatic way. 4. So the post is sitting in the hammer and bottom foot. By using the hammer control, you can lower the chain and counterweight down by 2 feet. You will see this weight drop. You can find the weight between the mast. Now the hammer is set up in free fall mode. 5. On the side of the hammer, there is a pointer and a ruler. Using the pointer and ruler, you will be able to control the height of each post. 6. For the first post, drive it down to the required height. Check with a tape measure to see if it's correct. Turn the hammer on, regulate the speed of the hammer, by regulating the opening of a value. Once you have the post embedded to the correct height, place the hammer on top of the post. Make sure you have the full weight of the hammer on the post. Then look at the pointer and record the number. 7. The best way to record the height is to have a black felt pen. Use the pen to mark the ruler as a reference point. This point will become your stop point for every other post on this project. As you see, installing post is not that hard. Allow yourself a few hours to get the hang of the machine. Let's take a look on rock drilling. On your pounder, you will have a hydraulic motor. This is designed to operate a down-the-hole hammer, similar to what you see in the picture. Your pounder will be able to drill anything from 68 mm up to 300 mm by changing the down-the-hole hammer to suit. It will drill concrete, rock and anything hard. You will see shortly, as I have a video to come. To operate your down-the-hole drill you need to have a suitable air compressor, approximately 350 CFM air compressor. The drill runs on air. The air from the hammer is used to blow the drilling find out of the hole. So before you start, you need to ensure you have a system in place to minimize the dust. This can be done by placing mud flap over the hole and drill through it, or using a small mist of water. Now, the important task for the operators is to install the drill onto his machine correctly. If done incorrectly you may struggle to get the drill off once you've completed the drilling. Before you place the hammer drill onto the motor, you need to follow the next steps. 1. Unscrew the plastic cap off the end. 2. Place a cupful of drilling oil down inside the hammer for you start. 3. Clean the thread with a rag or a wire brush. 4. Place grease all over the thread. 5. Stand up the drill under the drill motor. Place the motor over the drill, rotate the motor in the right-hand direction to screw the drill into the motor. 6. Do not tighten or place a spanner on at this point. Before I said to you, not to tighten the drill. There is a very good reason. If you tighten the drill without putting a removable washer in place you will struggle to remove the drill later. If you follow this simple instruction, your life will be a lot easier. What you need is the length of 8 mm or 3/8 rope. Wrap the rope around the collar as shown. Do this before you screwing the drill in place. The rope will act as a washer. You can remove the rope on completion of the job, which will allow you to unscrew the drill with ease. Please do not forget to put this rope in this position, as it's very unpleasant trying to remove the drill otherwise. Here is a short video of the rock drill in action. It's drilling through the road pavement for a post. The drill operates exactly the same as driving a post. Drop the drill down, ensure that your center chain and counterweight are dropped to the bottom, rotate the drill motor and turn on the air. A hole should take only minutes. Do not let the dust fly away like this. So, today we have learned how to maintain your pounder. We understand how to use the post extractor, also the rock drill. Now, it's time to look at how to use the pounder to install the guardrail. If you would like to take a break, please just stop me now. Otherwise, let's see how simple it is to install the guardrail. The install method we're about to look at is called the manual method. Step 1. Review the plan, and check for the design offset measurement. This is normally called the face of rail. Write this measurement down in your notebook. Now you need to know where the post is going. If there is a block out between the post, you need to measure the block, add it to the offset measurement. Measure the depth of the rail, again add it to the offset measurement. Now, what you should have is the design offset, plus the rail depth, plus the block width. This equals the front of the guardrail post. Now you have the front of the post location. It's now time to move to Step 2. Step 2. With your tape measure, walk along the road, mark the ground every 4 meters, use the total offset measurement. You calculated this a few minutes ago. The ground should look like this in the picture. For the type of paint, use a brand that will weather away. Step 2. Load your truck or your trailer, with guardrail and posts. Now, take the rail to the site. Lay the rail out by placing guardrail along the edge of the painted line. Ensure that you do this neat and tidily. The rail will become imaginary string line later. When you're laying the rail out, ensure that the laps are correct and the bolt holes all line up. Here you may need to use a pry bar to move the rails into the correct alignment. Step 3. Now that the rail was in place, it's time to lay out the posts, bolts and washers. Things to watch. Ensure that the posts are laid out as shown in the picture, because this is the way the operator will pick the posts up. Holes in the post need to match the holes in the rail. Place your post bolts and washers beside the posts ready for the install team. Now, place splice bolts, sometimes are called the button bolts, place alongside the joints. This will make it easier for the team coming in behind the pounder to bolt the rails together. Step 4. So all the hardware is lying on site beside the rail. The rails are upside down as shown. It's now time to put 4 splice bolts into the joints. You are connecting the rail to form a string of rail. Only tighten these bolts firmly, do not tighten with a wrench. Step 5. It's now time to drive the first post. Center your machine over the mark which you have painted on the ground. Place the post into the hammer, align the post with the mark on the ground. We previously learned earlier in this presentation how to do this. Using the hammer, you drive the post to the correct height, as you see in the photo. Now we are ready to install the rail. Step 5. To install the rail, you need to have a groundwork barrier install unit fitted to your machine. Look closely at the highlighted picture B, you see the rail has been placed on the unit. Pick up the previously laid out rail, lift it into the barrier unit. Using a bar through the hole, the machine can either pull or push the rail to match the post hole. Once aligned, fix the rail to the post with a bolt. Now, you have fixed the rail to the first post. It's now time to track the pounder in the direction of the rail to the next post. As the rail runs through the pounder install unit, as you see in the picture, you will come to the next hole. Align pounder and post over the bolt hole, and the mark on the ground. Drive the post to the correct height. Once done, move forward to the next 2 posts and do the same. Now, you have 3 posts in place to the correct location and height. The next step is to allow the 2 guys behind you to place the bolts to the posts. This is done by the pounder lifting the rail up and down, or in or out, to align the rail to the post holes. Once the bolts are installed, you keep repeating the system for the rest of the day. Here is the short clip of how the manual system works. It's simple, isn't it? See how the rail runs through the barrier unit? It saves a lot of lifting by the guys. Next, we are going to look at the bolting up of the rail. So, the rail is now fixed to the post. It's now time to ensure that the alignment of the rail is smooth to the eye. The best way to do this is to place a person at each end of the rail. The guys will identify any kinks or hollows and tell the operator. Using the pounder foot, the operator can travel the length of the rail. Using the foot, you can push or pull the rail into place. To straighten the rail, place the foot in the center of the rail and pushing away to straighten, or putting the foot around the post and under the rail and pulling the post to the machine. If you have a low post, using the foot around the post and under the rail, you will be able to lift the post up to adjust height. Try it on site and you will find it's very simple and effective. Step 6. Once you've got all the rail sitting on the posts, you need to add the remaining splice bolts. Sometimes you may need to use your pry bar to enlarge the hole to allow the bolt to pass through. This is normal, so don't worry. The best way to tighten the bolts is using our 24-volt impact wrench. This is quick to do, and easy. Let's take a look at the tools you need to build this guardrail. You will need spanners to match the nuts and bolts. Best to have a 2-pound hammer, and a large sledgehammer of 10 to 20 pounds. The team that are placing the spiced bolts are best to use impact wrenches of 24 volts to tighten the bolts. You also need a large crowbar, as guardrail needs to be moved around on the ground, and this is the perfect tool. You are best to have a couple of wheelbarrows. These are great for moving boxes of bolts, nuts and washers around on site, remembering you are a mobile site that can cover 1,000 feet in the day, so the material needs to be moved easily. Now, is time to summarize what we have learned. You have learned how to look after a guardrail pounder. You have learned how to drive posts and install rails. You have learned how to installing bolts and straightening the rail to be pleasing to the eye. At the end of the day's work, you should be able to stand back and look at your rail and be satisfied it is straight and pleasing to the eye. Most of all, you have enjoyed your day at work. I thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please reach out to groundworkexperts.com.